Hello beautiful humans, I'm Brynn, a teenager passionate about veganism and sustainability. Today I will be talking about how to off-put your carbon footprint. If you are confused on a carbon footprint or what that is, just leave a comment below and I will definitely make a video explaining exactly what a carbon footprint means and how it affects you and the environment. But today I'll be focusing solely on how to off-put it or reduce your carbon emissions. The first thing that you can do is all pertaining to driving. So if it is available to you and you live close to wherever you need to go, always choose to either walk, bike, carpool, take public transit. There's a lot of types of transportation that emits far less carbon emissions than every time you go out and drive your car just all the time. And along with that, if you're going out to run errands, try to go and get as many errands as you can done so you're not going back and forth from your house. Just kind of consolidate all of that time. Not only is traffic frustrating, but it also wastes a lot of energy. So what you can do to minimize the time spent in traffic is go ahead and get an app that helps you find the routes to your destination with the least amount of traffic. So that's always good, especially if you're trying to get there fast or if you're just a person who hates sitting in traffic. There's also those pluses, but also it can tremendously offset your carbon emissions, not just having to sit in the car doing nothing but having it run just continuously. It's just not good. This little part of driving might seem really small, but unnecessary braking and accelerating wastes a lot of energy, especially if you're like a road rager, so you're trying to like hit the gas or you're braking because, you know, really quickly and it just seems really unnecessary. That just creates a lot more or wastes a lot more energy than if you just stayed at a consistent level until you actually needed to stop or accelerate. The second way you can offset your carbon emissions is making conscious purchases. And this thing kind of goes along with minimalism and just plain old buying less, only getting what you need. If there's something that you've been wanting for a really long time and it just, go ahead and get it, but if it's just something that is trendy at the moment or it kind of feels more like an impulse buy, thinking about it consciously and thinking, okay, there was a lot of resources put into this and I might use it for one time and then throw it away. So you don't want to vote with your dollar into any kind of impulse buys that are not sustainable, and even impulse buys that are from ethical companies. If you don't necessarily need that item, it's better to just leave that where it is for people that really do need the item. The next set of tips actually goes along with once you decide, hey, I actually do need this item or product, and you are actually going to go out and buy it. So there's a couple things to keep in mind here, and the first one is to do your research about which companies and brands are actually ethical and sustainable. And because there are a lot of companies that, actually almost every company, if you go on their website, they always have a little blurb about their sustainability practices, but a lot of that is greenwashing. A lot of that, they're not really sustainable whatsoever. There's a lot of companies where I've looked at it and be like, huh, that's interesting. You wrote this whole thing about being sustainable and you haven't put any of it into practice. So also beware, there's going to be a lot of companies trying to greenwash you. Make sure to do some good solid effort and research into what companies are actually ethical and sustainable. Another really good thing is to support your local brands and companies. Supporting local companies not only is such a better thing for the environment because they're close proximity, there's not a lot of super shipping and just bouncing everything around from all over the world, and it's also supporting your community and empowering the people in your community to grow in their personal development and businesses and whatnot. And just a little tidbit, if you're searching for appliances, first of all, you could get them secondhand, but if you have to buy it new, look for Energy Star appliances. Those are typically more energy efficient than any old appliance. The next set of tips all revolve around laundry and reducing your energy in the laundry atmosphere. So first of all, you can wash everything cold. Cold takes a lot less energy to produce in regards to a washing machine. So just washing everything cold is just the best way, and a lot of fabrics are better when washed cold anyway, like whites and things like that. So I mean, there's not a lot of bad stigma around cold. I don't know if stigma is the right word, but. And then the second thing is, if it is available to you, try to hang dry your clothes, garments, anything that you washed, instead of putting them into a dryer. This would definitely significantly reduce the energy that you're putting into it. And if you have time and it's available to you, you have the space to hang dry your clothes, I think that'd be worth looking into and trying to make that happen. The next tip is reducing energy in the light kind of field. So a more energy efficient bulb, if you can find one once your lights go out. By no means am I saying go out and buy everything and switch them out now. I would personally wait until your light bulbs give out before I would go out and buy all the energy efficient bulbs, and most of those are LED. Those are gonna be the best. But you can also a simple thing is just to turn your lights off when you leave that room. Don't leave every light on in the house at all times. I personally have a window in my room, so I don't have my light on until like night, and then I'm gonna go to bed soon, so then I turn it off. And right now it's on because I'm filming and I want people to be able to see me well, although I've definitely filmed with it off with just the light from my window. But I mostly have my light off because my window, the outside world just lights up my room. So I guess I really don't have a use for that light. And a lot of times, even at night, I literally just put on that lamp back there. I don't even turn on the real light. This tip is all about food, and this can apply to all diets. I have a tip later in the video that may not apply to all diets, but this one definitely does. And the first part of this is just planning out your meals, freezing things if you didn't finish anything, and eating leftovers. I know it was really weird for me to figure out, like some of my friends were like, you guys eat leftovers? Like what? That's so weird. And it was just, they were completely weirded out, but I've always eaten leftovers and it's just never bothered me. I don't know where you have come from, if they eat leftovers in your house. That's just been a really normal thing for me. And the next thing is just to buy local and in season. And I mean, if you can get it organic, that's pretty good. But the biggest thing, buy local, in season, non-processed. The non-processed part will obviously help with your health as well. But if you're buying it local, there's not a lot of, like I said with the shopping, just shipping it around and all that waste going in there. And if it's in season, that'll be even better. Buying local, like farmers markets. I know you can't really go to a farmers market right now, but once everything reopens again, I love going to the farmers market. It's really fun. And my farmers market not only has food, but little cool people like to bring their hobbies and cool things like that, and I really enjoy it. All right. Here's the tip that's either gonna make or break this video. Alright, so the next tip is along with food, and that is eating less meat. Okay, I can just see the comments now. Okay, here we go. So the meat industry is one of the biggest, not only polluters, but creates a lot of carbon emissions and just has one of the biggest carbon footprints in the world industry-wise. And cutting out meat, or at least decreasing your meat so you're not just always buying meat all the time, at least trying to consciously decrease it, or you can go vegetarian or vegan, just making a conscious effort to not have a lot of meat in your life. And I know that's really hard for some people, so if you can't completely cut out meat, I mean, it'd just be good to just consciously think about, well, do I really need this meat tonight? Am I, try to decrease it as much as you can. The next thing is all about reducing your water impact. So you can do this by buying water efficient shower heads, washers, dishwashers, all kinds of things, toilets. There are all kinds of water efficient appliances out there. And if you can't get your hands on one of those, you can always, I know for the shower, you can take shorter showers, or if your shower takes a really long time heating up and you are a person who cannot take a cold shower. But what you can do is, if you have plants, you can actually, while it's heating up, have like a plant, what is it called? Like a waterer. Take that, put it up there so the shower goes into it, and then you can take it away once it's hot, jump into the shower, take a nice short shower. Hey, Editing Taylor here. I realized that I tried to explain this very horribly. So what I was meaning was that you can put your watering can under the shower head while it is warming up, and then after your shower you can use that water to water your plants so it doesn't go to waste. And you would reduce a lot of water use in that aspect. Just intentionally making things like, if you do shave, turn off the shower whenever you're doing that. I used to be a person who would just let it go while I was shaving, and now that I think about that, that was just not the move. But there's a lot of ways that you can reduce your water usage, and making sure that the water that you use is things that you actually need it for, and it's not just running all the time. The next tip is to recycle. Recycle anytime you can, even with traveling. Look for minimal or recyclable packaging, and when you want to go buy products, there's just recycling alone won't do a lot, but with a lot of these other practices, recycling is still a very good habit to get into, and there's just a lot that goes into, recycling, and it's kind of interesting to do a little bit of research. But I would definitely do a little bit of research on how to recycle what's classified as hard to recycle items in your area, because I'm sure there's different recycling places will reject or not be able to recycle certain things, so they'll just throw them away. So it's good to be conscious of what your area is okay with recycling, and if there's any other alternatives if you come into contact with something that is considered hard to recycle, and how you can recycle that. The next tip kind of goes hand in hand with recycling. It has a nice waste aspect to it, and that is composting. Composting minimizes your waste. There's just a not like, when you throw it away, and I'm pretty sure they burn it, so it's like all that in the air. So composting is a really good way. You get some really good soil. If you want to know more, check out my composting video. I'll have it linked down below, and I explain it pretty well, but if you're still a little confused, I can make another one. But I have an all about composting video, and I love composting. It's a really fun experience. Takes a little bit, but still fun. My next tip has all to do about traveling and flying, specifically. So the first thing is just fly less. And I'm not saying never fly, you shouldn't fly at all. I mean, don't go see your family. You can't do that work conference thing. That's not what I'm saying at all. I would just think about consciously when you're to fly. If you're just gonna fly for fun, just to go because you can, it just doesn't seem like the most sustainable option. You can always do a staycation. Instead of flying somewhere, you can go into explore your town, explore the places around your town, instead of just flying somewhere just for the fun of it. The second thing, if you are a frequent flyer or if you're flying anyway, just wherever you're going, just try to fly economy class. My next tip has everything to do with clothes. You wear them, you live in them, they're pretty rad, but the clothing industry, I'm not gonna say all of the clothing industry, but especially some parts of the clothing industry have a very bad reputation with environmentalists. And so the first thing I would do is quit fast fashion. Fast fashion, not sustainable, not environmentally friendly, not good to the workers that actually made the clothes. They're not good quality. They may be cheap, but they're just not that good. It's just not sustainable in any aspect. And so the first thing that I would do is quit fast fashion. And so you're like, what should I buy? Where should I buy it? And I would say secondhand. So thrifting is a really good, and there's even online thrift stores like ThredUp, and you can go and get trading apps like Buns, but you can also go to your local thrift store and look around there. I know I love my local thrift store, not that I can go there right now, which kind of makes me sad, but it's okay. But thrifting, buying secondhand, is always a better option compared to fast fashion. And if you've been looking for something that you can't find secondhand, there's always sustainable, ethical companies out there. I would do a little bit of research and look at get an ethically made piece that is going to last you a long time, because you want something that's going to last you a long time, especially if you're going to buy it new. The next thing is reducing your power usage. And this first part of reducing your power usage has a lot to do with standby power. And standby power is when something is just sitting there, not being used, but it's plugged in, and that power is just kind of on standby, as you would guess from the name. So what I do is all of the electronics minus just a couple are put into a power strip over there by my desk, and I just unplug the power strip when I don't need it, or at least turn it off, and it's just nothing's plugged in if I'm not using it. My fan, I unplug that when I'm not using it, and my chargers and power outlets, I unplug those when they're not charging anything. There are a lot of eco swaps or little tips and tricks that can help with heating and cooling your house and having your house temperature being energy efficient, but this is just one that I'm going to mention. So in the summer, I live in Texas, it gets incredibly hot. It's actually spring right now and still, like, it's gotten to 100 already. It's fine, whatever, that's okay. But instead of just cranking up the air conditioning and using all of that, you could invest in fans, because that will use a lot of less energy instead of just cranking up the air conditioning all the time. So I have a fan here right next to me. It's not going, and maybe I could just, here it is. There's my fan. It's not plugged in because I'm not using it, looky there. But I do have my fan, and it keeps my room pretty cool, because my room just gets hot for no reason, which is great in the winter because it just feels nice and warm, but in the summer it can get really hot in here. Having a fan instead of just cranking up the air conditioning whenever you get hot, if you live in a place that gets really warm, is a lot more energy efficient. The 14th tip is getting politically active. If you can vote, I cannot. So I get people around me that can vote. and I put my input into them, and hopefully they'll listen to me, but I cannot vote yet. But if you are a human that can vote, looking for people that you think will serve your community in ways of being environmentally friendly, who are looking to help towards solving the climate change problem and really have that on their mind, vote for them, get politically active, write representatives. There's just a lot of ways that you can impact your community by talking with people of power. And I think that's really good. Not only, I also believe in voting with your dollar, so that's what I do because I'm a little young to be voting and getting a little politics. I do talk politics, I just can't do anything about it. But what I can do is vote with your dollar, so if you're like me, don't vote and you just vote with your dollar, so you invest in brands that you know are going to be ethical. Do not buy a bunch of fast fashion and kind of show the world that you're not into that. And the 15th tip is just doing your best with what you have. If a lot of these things aren't available to you, it's just not in your lifestyle, it's not in your finances, whatever it is, and you cannot do it, do not get yourself down about it, and do not think that I'm telling you that you need to accomplish everything on this list. Just take what you can and take the steps that you personally can to help the environment. I think sustainability and even veganism is a very personal journey, and doing what you can, little small actions can change the world. And don't forget that, just do what you can and don't worry about the things that you can't do. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and remember that I love you and you're doing amazing. Bye!